Now, I wanted to talk about a rather hot topic today within the low-fat vegan community, and that is the fact that you can actually gain fat by following a high carbohydrate diet. Now, that's not to say that that is the current cause of the obesity epidemic in America. That is far from it. The main reason that people are getting fat is because they're eating a lot of animal products and they're eating a lot of fat. So that is the main reason that people get fat. It's hard to get fat on a high carbohydrate diet. I mean, the main reason that people get fat on a high carbohydrate diet is just a temporary reason because they're coming from a background of calorie restriction. So the body is like, oh shit, I'm gonna starve. I better hold on to all this food that while it's coming in. And so your body does store it as fat. And then after a while, your body calms down. It's like, okay, all right, I see I'm getting adequate calories every day, so I don't need to store all this fat. And then people will generally shed the weight off. It can take some time. So that is the main reason that people gain weight on a high carbohydrate vegan lifestyle. But the other way that people gain weight on a high carb vegan lifestyle is because they're just eating too many calories. Now, most people don't fit into this group. Most people are eating just enough calories. A lot of people are eating even less calories than they need. So that is actually the main reason that people fail on a vegan diet. I feel like a lot of the reason that people are eating too many calories sometimes, not many people are, I'm going to stress that in this video, most people are not eating too many calories on a vegan diet. I mean, personally, for maintenance calories, I eat around 2,900 to like 3,000 calories a day just for maintenance. If I want, right now I'm actually trying to gain a little bit of muscle, so I'm upping it to like 3,300 calories. So I am by no means on a starvation diet. I'm not trying to get people to follow a starvation diet. I'm sort of getting people to think about how many calories they're eating and maybe approach it more like Plant-Based Athlete or Mike Vlacity, where they just eat as much as they want. They're both eating 2,500 calories. They're not very big guys. I think they're only both around 5'6". So they're eating 2,500 calories a day, and they're doing just fine. I think a lot of the reason that people started eating more calories than they actually need is because of Harley and Freelee. Now, Harley and Freelee had very good guidelines when they say, you know, as guidelines, not rules, guidelines for males eat around 3,000 calories a day and females eat around 2,500 calories a day. I mean, my mom eats around 2,500 calories a day, I eat around 3,000 calories a day, so for most people that does work. And you don't even have to be all that active in order to consume that many calories. But Harley and Freelee are rather active, so they, especially Harley, I've seen in his 30 days where he just showed in the video like exactly what he ate day 1 to all the way through day 30, which was really cool that he did that. One of the days I think he ate like upwards of like 7,000 calories. And I think, you know, a lot of people who watch that may be like, wow, that's so cool, I want to be just like Harley. And they're not doing as much activity as him, and then they're going to eat like 5,000 calories a day. And there's this myth floating around that you cannot gain fat if you are following a high carbohydrate lifestyle, and that is absolutely bullshit. Now, if you're just eating as much as you want, like just eating as much as you want though, that's what I said, not as much as you can, as much as you want. If you're eating until satiation, you're probably not going to get fat. I highly, highly doubt that you're going to get fat. If you're eating as much as you can, yeah, you can get fat, because what happens when you eat a high carbohydrate diet, the first thing that happens when you eat carbs is it gets stored in your muscles as glycogen, okay? And then after all that, all your muscles are completely filled up, even the little ones that let you go like this with your nose. After that's all filled up, then they'll get stored in the liver as glycogen as well. So that after all your muscles are depleted, then you still have even more stores. And you can store upwards of like 500 grams of carbohydrates at a time. Now, for each gram of carbohydrates, you have 4 calories. So that's around 2,000 calories worth of stored glycogen stored at any one time. And you're constantly burning carbohydrates throughout the day. When you're sprinting, like doing like a really all-out maximal effort, you can burn exclusively carbohydrates, 100% carbohydrates. Although like right now, I'm not doing almost anything. I'm just sitting here talking to you guys. I'm burning primarily fat, but not 100% fat. It is actually impossible to burn 100% fat ever. And the reason for that is because fat burns in the flame of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates need to be burning in the background at all times in order for fat to even be the main fuel source. So you're constantly burning carbohydrates. I mean, when you're walking to class or walking to work, you're going to be burning more carbohydrates than when you're just sitting here. The more active you are, the more carbohydrates go up and the more fat goes down. So the only time that you burn exclusively carbohydrates is like when you're doing an all-out maximal effort, like maybe a Wingate test on a bike. But most of the time, your fat and your carbohydrates, they just like go up and down, but they're almost always both active. I mean, carbohydrates are always active, and fat is almost always being used, except, like I said, in extreme circumstances. So, with that said, you're constantly burning carbohydrates, so you constantly need to be refilling your carbohydrate stores. So, after all of your glycogen stores are completely filled up, though, the carbohydrates that you ingest will then go throughout the whole body and then find out if you have any sort of non-essential amino acid deficiency. And then if you do, carbohydrates can actually make non-essential amino acids, which is one of the very cool things that a high-carb diet can do, because you can't do that on a high-fat diet. One of the things that fat can't do is make amino acids. You can't do it. You can only do it with carbohydrates. So if you're eating enough calories, though, that shouldn't be a problem. Now, also, what carbs can do is they can actually turn into non-essential fatty acids. So if you have any sort of non-essential fatty acid deficiency, carbohydrates can actually make fatty acids as well. Now, fat is definitely important. I don't really think that the body needs a whole lot of fat, and neither does Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Our bodies need lots of different kinds of foods to stay healthy, including fat. Our bodies need fat because it cushions our insides, the palms of our hands, the soles of our feet, and even our butts. All the fat our body needs in a day is in about 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. That's about 15 milliliters.
But that being said, just because the body has a lot of very important needs like hormone creation, the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, different organs like the liver and the brain, all those things need fat, but how much fat do they need? Because as far as the human body goes, a little bit of fat goes a long way. Now, if you still have extra carbohydrates, even after all of that, the body will actually go through what is called digestive thermogenesis. Now, this is not just exclusive to carbohydrates. Fat and protein can do this as well. But this is sort of like the feeling that you get after you eat, especially a really big meal where you just feel hot. Like you gotta take your sweatshirt off. You just feel really hot. And that's because your body is burning the excess calories off as heat. It's just being burned off as heat energy. Carbohydrates and protein actually have the highest thermic effect as far as digestive thermogenesis goes. So if you eat a lot of carbs, a lot of protein, you will burn it off as heat energy. Fat does it as well, but not quite as much. So after all of that, after you've sweat off all that heat, after you've taken off your sweatshirt and you still have extra calories, then and only then will the body store it as fat, like in your stomach and your butt and your thighs. That is the only time that carbohydrates can be stored as fat, after all of those things. So with all that being said, I hope you guys got that the point of this video is actually showing that you can gain fat if you're following a high carb diet and you're eating too many calories, but only if you're eating too many calories, like trying to eat more calories than you need. Now, people can do this if you're just bulking, like if you're trying to gain muscle. I'm actually doing that right now. I'm eating around 3,300 calories a day. Now, I'm trying to gain muscle, but I'm not eating for 2, so I'm just eating like 300 extra calories a day. So I am gaining fat, I am gaining muscle as well, and then just by the time the summer comes around, I'll just be doing, 2,800 calories a day, maybe 2,700 calories a day, so by no means a starvation diet. I think a good way to lose weight is just follow a caloric deficit of maybe like 200 calories a day or something like that. You're not going to be starving. You're going to be just fine. Now, if you're coming from a non-vegan diet, or if you're coming from a diet that is very full of high caloric foods like things like oil, nuts, and seeds, and maybe it's a high-fat vegan diet or just an omnivorous diet, if you just eat a high-carb vegan diet that's full of a lot of fiber, things like rice, lettuce, like if you're eating a lot of salads and stuff, it's definitely a lot more volume in your stomach and be consuming a whole lot less calories. So that's the main reason that people will lose weight on a vegan diet, because they are consuming less calories, but they don't realize it, because this food is taking up so much room in their stomach, and it's full of water, it's full of fiber, it's very filling foods because of that. So people are consuming less calories whenever you lose weight, you're always consuming less calories. It's just whether you realize that you're eating less calories or not, because on a vegan diet, you can eat as much as you want and you will not gain fat. Just when you're eating more than as much as you want, when you're eating as much as you can, that is when you gain fat, no matter what macronutrient ratios you are following.